Hi guys, my name is Numistaka and normally I produce videos on coins and precious metals, but just occasionally I also make videos on my other love, which is watches. And if you watched my video a couple of weeks ago, you'll know that I was lucky and was invited to pick up one of these beautiful watches from Watches of Switzerland. And it's the Tudor GMT. And in fact, this watch has not been off my wrist over the last couple of weeks. I have been wearing it each day, which is unusual for me because I quite often like to swap watches and not wear them too much. And the thing is, I wanted to make a video to show how it's gone over the last couple of weeks, to look at what I feel about the watch having worn it for a while, and to also take a little bit of a look at some of the criticisms that have been levied against it. I watched a lot of the videos about this watch, and I was expecting it to be too big. People say that, sorry about the lack of polish on the side at the moment, but people say that it's a little bit too tall, maybe sits on the wrist badly. People are extolling the virtues of the 58, which is a little bit smaller. And I thought, maybe this watch would be too big and clunky. However, I can report back that in practice, that really isn't the case. And on my size wrist, at least, the watch sits incredibly well, I think, and has been incredibly comfortable. The bracelet, I don't know whether the leather strap would have been a better choice, but the bracelet for me is supremely comfortable, and I've certainly been very happy with my choice of the bracelet. I think the watch itself has a great retro feel to it. In terms of telling the time, well, which is after all one of the things you buy a watch for, some people on various forums have said, well, this watch may not be that accurate. Somebody said, well, they've been disappointed because it's gained 7 seconds over a few days. Frankly, I don't know the rights and wrongs of that, but I'm really not a kind of focused on the accuracy of a watch so much. If I see that it has the wrong time, I'll adjust it a tiny bit, but I haven't needed to. I mean, that's the interesting thing, that having worn the watch for a couple of weeks, I think I adjusted it once because I may not have set it accurately in the first place, and it seems to have been performing extremely well as far as I can see in terms of its overall accuracy. The other thing that if you read the forums and you look up problems with the Tudor GMT movement, then you'll have heard about problems people have reported with the date jumping and being caught in the middle of the night halfway between different date numbers. That was back in August. It's now November. I think there was a bit of a lull in deliveries of this watch. My personal belief is that Rolex Tudor have actually taken a look at this problem and made any adjustments needed to sort the problem out. I certainly haven't seen very much over the last couple of months in terms of these kind of problems. So if you are thinking about buying this kind of watch, I would suggest to you that actually you still go ahead with it. I think the pros, certainly for me at the very least, outweigh any potential cons or problems with the movement. And as far as I can see, I haven't had a problem. And somebody did a poll on one of the forums and found that most people, I think 20% of people, reported some kind of date problem a while back, a few months ago when it was launched. But most people had not perceived those kind of problems. I don't often take a look at the date in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, but I have not noticed any of those date jumping problems. Somebody on one of the forums suggested that sometimes the date jumped 2 days at a time. Again, that's not something I've seen with my particular watch. So I would not be worried at this point. If you do buy one of these watches and it does have date problems, take it back to Rolex Tudor and they undoubtedly will sort it out under warranty. There is a kind of facsimile letter that Rolex wrote an owner of a Tudor GMT watch on one of the forums, and it said that they did find there was a slight excess of lubrication in the calendar area of the watch, and they got that right, and the owner reportedly didn't have any problems after that. So I think there is an element of scaremongering, and really I'm just making this video to redress the balance and to tell you guys actually not to worry so much. I think this is a fine watch which anyone who buys it will get a lot of great use out of. In my previous video I did suggest that this watch didn't have a triple crown, only a double crown movement, and may not be as waterproof on that basis. Somebody has written to me having looked at the service manual and suggested this actually does have the triple crown, so apologies if I misled anybody with that comment on the previous video. So there you have it. I've had it for a few weeks. I'll probably report back after 6 months or a year or something, but to me this watch is a fabulous purchase. It's good value. It has a manufacturer movement. It's extremely comfortable on the wrist, and doesn't certainly appear to be too big on my wrist. I think it has a lot of benefits. I believe personally that while Tudor is buying market share, this watch is a little bit of a, not necessarily a loss leader, because undoubtedly they're making a pretty good profit on each piece. But I do think that this watch will probably be raised by more than the rate of inflation, and maybe by more than the equivalent Rolex over the next 10 years, so that it becomes a slightly more expensive cost relative to Rolex and turns out to be a reasonable investment. Now that's just my personal opinion. I may have it totally wrong, but I guess we'll see when I look at this video in 5 years' time what the movement on price has been on this generally throughout the world. So that's all from me at the moment, and if you like watches, then there will be occasional videos on my channel on watches. If you want to learn about building wealth through stacking bullion, semi-numismatics and numismatic coins, then I think building wealth is something that we're all really very keen on, so that we can then at least have the choice of whether to buy beautiful watches like this or lovely coins going forward. So if you like that thought, please do subscribe to my channel and watch some of the videos that I put out on coins and grading of coins and investment.